All right, so thanks for joining me, everyone. This is the first virtual edition of the Masters class, and I miss everyone very much, and thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to start off with the warm-up that we generally start off with in the live class, and that is a full-body controlled articular rotations routine, where we warm up every single joint in the body, and this is one of the best things you can do to warm up before activity, so I urge you to try and really grasp these exercises. So we're going to start off with the neck, and that starts with a flexion as far as you can, and then we're going to rotate to one side and then tip the ear over the shoulder, bring your chin all the way to the other side, and now look down and center up. And now we're going to switch directions. So we're turn, bend, turn, bend, and turn. We're going to do 2 more per side per direction. Big turn, big lean, nice and gentle. If you're feeling any discomfort through any of these movements, make a smaller circle than maximum range of motion. And so you're seeing me lean way back and bring my chin forward. You might start with a very small motion and expand the circle as we go. And I want you to apply that to the rest of the movements as well. We're going to get into the shoulder girdle. I'll show you this one from the side. We're going to start by shrugging the shoulders and then retracting the shoulder girdle. Depress and then wrap around to the front of the body, sort of caving in the chest like that, and then elevate again and repeat. We're going to move very slowly today, and you may not do the exact same number of reps that I'm going to do. So I'll do 3 more, but you might get 10 done in that time, or you might just do 2, and that is totally fine. I'm going to do 1 more in this direction, and then we're going to switch directions. Alright, so let's start with that shrug again. Then instead of retracting, we're going to cave the chest in forward first, and then depress, and then retract. Elevate or shrug, wrap around the front, back down, big squeeze in the blades. And I can't emphasize that squeeze enough. You really want to crush the shoulder blades as you go through the motion. We're going to do 1 more rep here, and then we're going to move on to the shoulder joint. Now this one can be quite complicated, and so I really just want you to focus on the rotational aspect of the hand here. We're going to start by making a very small circle and turn the hand at this point. Bring that right back to your side, extend, wrap all the way around, and come back to the front. Perfect. Now every rep we go through, we are going to start to expand that circle. And we'll just stick to one side at a time for today, but we'll try to do these both at the same time next week just to save a few seconds. Now, if you have any neck or shoulder issues, I urge you not to raise your hand or elbow higher than shoulder height. Big emphasis on the turn here. But if you have healthy shoulders, no neck issues, we're going to start to expand that circle until we're making the largest circle that we can. So I'm going to do a full car here, and that is maximum shoulder flexion, big turn on the hand, take a step back, just in case you lost the hand, and right back. We're going to do 2 more reps. Big turn here. Again, feel free to go at your own pace. There's no fire. 1 more. Big turn, big twist here on the hand. Right down to the side. And finishing up that arm. So let's do 5 cars on the left side. I'm going to go super slow, so if you're already making a full circle, feel free to start with the maximum range. And I'm going to expand this side a little bit quicker than the other one. Big twist here. Bringing the arm back and down. At the side, the hand should be backwards. Excellent. Again, if you're feeling a little bit of snap, crackle, pop in the shoulder joint, as long as it's not painful, it's not a huge deal. But if you're feeling any discomfort at all, please don't raise your arm higher than shoulder height. That can be very intense on the shoulder joint. Big turn here. Now, usually someone in the class is counting for me, tells me when I've done too many reps. I don't have that today, so I've probably done 5 reps there. Let's move on to the spine. So we're going to turn things up a little bit, and I want you to take a nice wide stance about 1.5 shoulder width apart, and you're going to squeeze the floor with the inner thigh with about 20 to 50% effort. The spine works much the same as the neck, so keep that squeeze on, hands across the shoulders, and we're going to flex, and then we're going to turn, and then we're flexing again, and this is this shoulder up and the other shoulder down over the side, and then big rotation to the other side, and then flex down and forward, and then center yourself up again. We're going to do 3 more reps. Let's turn the other way, nice and slow. Big lean over, all the way up and over to the other side, flexing down, and centering up. Good. 2 more reps, nice and slow. Big turn. Big lean over. Big turn to the other side. Chest way down. And big squeeze to center. Last rep. Big turn. Big lean over. Turn to the other side. Big flex forward. And center up. And if you put a big squeeze on those legs, that's starting to get your heart rate up a little bit. So for the elbows and the wrists, we are going to flex and extend the elbows with a turn of the hands at the top and bottom. And we're just going to do 10 of these pretty quickly. We're not going to spend a ton of time here. Sorry, I was just watching Leigh. And dropping the hands down. I can't tell who's here, but thanks again everyone for joining me. It's really great to see some familiar faces. Big turn. Awesome. Palms up. Coming up. Palms down. And we'll do 1 more rep. And what that does is it gets every part of your elbow joint moving and lubricated. Alright, I'm going to get a little bit closer here and show you the wrist. Now, what I'd like you to do is grab your forearm with the one hand, and that's going to stop you from rotating the elbow, which is what we just did. Grab that forearm, try to straighten your fingers out. We're going to extend, bring your hand across, bring it toward you, bring it over, and bring it down. Good. And just go really nice and slow through these full maximal circles. Don't worry too much if you see the hand sort of moving around a little bit. We're just trying to warm up. Let's switch directions here. We're going to do about 5 rotations per side. Again, I don't want to chew up too much of our time doing the warm-up. We've got to get to the good stuff. Let's hit 1 more rep, and we'll switch hands. So again, good grip on that forearm. Extend, bring the hand across, flex towards yourself, try to bring the hand over again. really difficult to do those side movements without rotating that elbow, but we're trying to avoid that palm turn. So, good, just nice and slow. I can hear a little bit of snap, crackle, pop in my wrists. I don't know if that's carrying over on the microphone or not. Let's switch directions here. Good. I'm sure I'm looking nice and sweaty now. It's not that the warm-up is that crazy, although it's definitely contributing. I think I put a few too many logs on this fire before the class got started. Awesome. All right, so if everybody has a chair or something they can grab onto for balance, we're going to do the most complicated hip controlled articular rotation, which is the hip car. So anything to grab on, the wall, a chair, anything will be great. We're going to start this hip car with a very light rotation. Now we're going to start to raise that knee as we go through these reps. And if you have any discomfort in the hip joint or the back, you might not want to do more than this. If not, we're going to add a bit of a kick to that segment and then bring the knee down and together. I'll get a little bit closer so you can see. It starts with a knee drive. We're going to bring that out to the side, kick the foot up, and then bring that back and down. Up and out. Perfect. And again, if you've got discomfort, just focus on rotating the hip and you'll get lots of lubrication in that ball and socket. But if you're okay, we're going to push into a really big circle. Whew. I've gotten away from my balance point here, so I've got to make sure not to wipe out. All right, let's do one more rep and then we're going to switch sides. Perfect. All right, so again, I like to do the first 5 to 10 as a very light rotation without lifting the knee too much. And then we're going to start to open that up. A little bit of audio feedback from the joint is okay, as long as it's not uncomfortable. Let's add that kick. Perfect. We're going to do 2 more reps together, and then we'll get into the knees and the ankles. Beautiful. All right, so you will probably want to do this one seated. So if you could take a seat on your chair, what we're going to do with the knee joint is rotate outward with the toes, fully extend, and then rotate inwardly with the toes and fully extend. Now if you don't have the option to sit down, you can stand, but I would grab onto something for balance because it can be quite challenging to do this without any balance. We're going to do about 10 total reps, just nice and slow. One more. Woo! All right, we're going to switch sides. So again, support the thigh, turn the toes across, extend, flex, turn the toes out, extend, flex. You may notice one of your knees rotates a little better than the other one, which is pretty normal. You may also notice that that out of your 2 knees is the one that tends to give you a little more difficulty or trouble. So working on knee rotation would be a great way to improve the health of your knee joint. And I'm just blasting through these so we can get to the tough stuff. All right, let's warm up the ankles. This is probably the easiest car we've got. We're going to support the leg, point the toes, and draw a huge circle with your great toe, your big toe. So just painting the biggest circle you can. Not worrying too much if you feel stuff moving around in the knee, as long as nothing hurts. That's about 5, so I'll switch directions here. All right. Let's switch feet there. So we're almost on the warm-up, and so we're extending the toe here, just drawing the biggest circle you possibly can. So we're almost on the warm-up, and what we're going to do after this is get into a few different body positions and perform some isometric strength training. And so what I'd like you to do is make sure you're breathing deeply and regularly through the motions, or through the contractions. Let's switch directions here. So make sure you don't hold your breath when you do the isometrics. And you always start with a light contraction and dial up the intensity of the contraction. And I'll explain that in greater detail as we go. All right. So we should have, got some good time left. And so we're going to get into the isometric contractions. And so if you were seated, I need everybody standing. And what we're going to do is 3 repetitions of the isometrics in each of these positions. And we're going to increase the range of motion by a little bit after each contraction. So we're going to start with the inner thigh. And what I'd like you to do is get into a nice wide stance. I don't feel a crazy stretch on the inner thigh, but I feel a light stretch. And that's where I want you for the first contraction. Now you're going to try and squeeze the floor between your ankles and your toes. You're grabbing the floor with your feet and crushing the floor together. So if I could fold it up as hard as I can. We're going to dial up that intensity. We're going to hold that squeeze for another 3, 2, 1. Now relax. I want you to try to get a little bit wider. Good, so now I feel a decent stretch here. And again, feel free to grab onto something for support if you need to for balance. We're going to start the squeeze in between the legs. We're going to start dialing up the pressure of that contraction. And now I want you at maximal effort, breathing regularly as we go for 2 and 1 more second. Perfect. Relax. Let's try to get really nice and wide here. Again, grab your chair. If you're close to the floor, you can put your hands down, but don't worry about it. The main thing is how hard you're squeezing. So let's start that third contraction. We're grabbing the floor with our feet. We're squeezing the floor together with our inner thigh. Dial up the intensity of that contraction. Hopefully you're not talking constantly like me so you can breathe. And now squeeze as hard as you can. 3, 2, and 1. Whew. All right, let's get out of that position. May want to just move those legs around a little bit because you might be feeling some pretty intense stuff going on in the inner thigh. Now, there's a few levels with which you could do this next one in. We can do this in the top part of a lunge. We can do it halfway down, or we can actually rest on the floor. I would suggest today we start up top because the intensity of those contractions is going to be high. So I've got 1 foot back, I'm on my toes, and my ankle is up, and my front foot, lots of pressure on my heel. I'm going to squeeze the floor together. I'm starting to squeeze as hard as I can. breathing regularly, dial it up to max effort. Let's hold that for 3, 2, and 1. Now at this point, we can slide that foot back a little bit, or if you're feeling really adventurous, we'll drop that back knee down a little bit, okay? We're gonna squeeze the floor again, ramping up the intensity of that contraction. Max effort for 3, 2, and 1. Now you may want to pop out of that for a second, move the legs around, but don't take too much time. We're going to do the last one right away. So at this point, I'm going to get nice and deep here, but you could be up high. Doesn't matter. I can't see you, so you can cheat. Big squeeze here, dialing up the intensity of that contraction as hard as you can. 3 seconds, and done. Whew! Having a tough time talking while we do these squeezes. Let's switch sides quickly, starting nice and high. And we're going to start that contraction right away. So putting a squeeze on that floor. Again, the back toes are down, the front heel still grabbing that foot, grabbing that floor with the foot. Squeeze, dial up the intensity of that contraction until you're squeezing as hard as you can for 3, and 2, and 1. All right, I'm going to get a little bit deeper. You can stay high and just slide your foot back, or you can try to bend your back knee a little bit. Let's start our squeeze. Really pulling the toes down into the floor, pulling that heel down into the floor, trying to squeeze those points together. All right, max effort. 3, 2, and 1. Whew, this is hard to do and talk. I'm going to slide back a little bit further. Let's do our last rep here. Big squeeze on the floor. Squeezing as hard as you can for 3, 2, and 1. I need to shake those legs out for a second. Whew. Now we're not completely done with the legs, but we're going to get into a little bit of upper body here. Whew. All right. So we are going to take a very partial squat position. So you definitely don't have to be way down here. We've got slight bend in the knees. The big thing here is that the chest is down and your chin is tucked in. From this position, we're going to do alternating Y or reverse flies. Y's or reverse flies. So thumbs up, big squeeze, and then the other side. Now to save the lower back, I rest my forearms on my knees. So as one side goes up, I'm pressing in. And as the other side goes up, I'm pressing in. And I want you guys to just keep moving as I talk about the modifications. So if you're finding this position is still hard on the back, then keep moving. You can hold onto your chair and do a gentler fly, or you can rest one knee on the chair and just do one side at a time. But if you're putting good pressure on those thighs, this should be just fine. All right, now this one is really tough. We're going to move into a alternating shoulder rotation. I want you to just reach into what's comfortable. Don't reach too far. Basically, we're going there. Now, it might be more comfortable, especially with the bottom arm, to just keep that in front of the stomach if you're feeling discomfort by traveling behind the back. The thing I want to add to these reps is a forward lean, reach, and extend. And then switch and extend. Perfect. I'm going to do 5 more per side, and then we're going to move on. Whew. Last one. All right, so we're going to get into a little bit of mobility, but we're still doing some isometric contractions. So if you've got a dining room chair or something that you can put your foot on, that's great. And I want you to apply what I'm about to say in this position. But if you don't have access, 4? Oh. Oh my gosh, okay, sorry. So we're going to get into the hamstring stretch here. And so if you don't have a chair to put your heel on, you can do this in this position as well. So reach for your toe, and now you're pulling the heel down into the floor or pressing the heel down into your chair. Don't squeeze as hard as you can. Just put a little bit of pressure down in that chair. And now we're going to relax and we're going to deepen that stretch. And we're going to do another light contraction here. All right, let's switch legs. So reach for the toe, knee can be slightly bent. Now I'm starting to drive down on that chair and squeeze into the chair. Then I'm going to relax, deepen the stretch, and squeeze again. All right. Now we're going to take a seat and just stretch the hips out a little bit. So if you have trouble getting the foot onto the knee, you start with the leg straight, pop the heel up, and just bend that knee to get that into position. Chest up. We're going to drive that knee down for about 10 seconds, and then we're going to pull that knee up into the opposite shoulder, but the whole time I want that nice upright posture. Perfect. Let's pull up and over. Very careful not to turn the body. Try to stay square and just pull that knee up. Perfect. Just a few more seconds here. Time just raced by today. All right, let's switch legs. So we're popping that heel up, driving that knee down, bringing the chest up. Really nice posture. So hopefully it won't be so windy. I'll be able to do this outside next time. Let's pull that up into the opposite shoulder. And not right beside a wood stove. It's just blaring hot right now. Perfect. Okay, we're going to stretch the shoulder blade in the back. Assuming you don't have any equipment, this will be a nice way to stretch your shoulder blade. So we're going to reach that arm across the body, and then we're going to anchor the elbow and just pull straight across here. Good. If you extend your back a little bit, bringing the chest up, you may feel it a little differently than if you allow yourself to flex. So try to stay nice and upright there. We'll just hold that for a few more seconds, and we'll switch it up. So again, reaching right across the body, anchoring the elbow. You may not be able to get the elbow. Should have mentioned this before. You can use your palm to pull that right across. And again, we want to maintain nice upright posture and don't allow yourself to droop down and flex there. All right.